Welcome back to the CQC video training series. This is a spot topic video on media browsing. In this video, we are going to pick up where we left off last time, and we basically have exactly the same template here as we had last time, but it obviously looks considerably nicer. If you haven't just watched that original media browsing video, go watch that first, perhaps so that you can see how we got to the initial state. And what we've done here is basically just apply styling. There's no new functionality here. We just made it look a lot nicer. And what we have, of course, is a media category browser and a cover art browser, so that we can select a category and go to a particular category and look through it and so forth, just like we had before. It just looks much nicer. So for the media category browser, we just basically applied styles to it. So I selected a font and gave it a drop shadow and set the color. And that's really all I did for that. But for the cover art browser, what we did is to use a custom layout template. And if you remember when we looked at the original video, we had a default layout template that just comes with CQC, and it's very basic. And the purpose of it is really just so that something shows up when you create a cover art browser, even if you don't know yet that you need to create some sort of layout template. So it just is very simple and doesn't look that great, but it gets the job done. And it's also something that will work fairly well for either movies or music. But once you really want to start making it look nicer, you'll typically want to do your own layout, and you'll probably do a separate layout for movies versus music, because you might want to display different information, because you can see here that we're displaying info that in this case is music oriented. If you're doing movies, you might want to display some other information, such as maybe the lead actor and maybe something like the media format. Is it a DVD? Is it a Blu-ray? That sort of thing. So let's go look at how we created this custom layout template, and it's very simple. I just created a new template here, and I just put it in the same scope with our browser template that we're working on here. And all it is just a basic template that doesn't get used as is. Instead, the cover art browser just reads it in and uses it as raw materials to recreate the same set of widgets over and over again, basically. And for each one, it just assigns each set a new title in the sequence of titles that it's displaying. So that's really all that's going on here. But this lets you decide exactly what you want to see and where you want that to be. And what you do is you create media repo text widgets, which is what this one is. And these are down here. And what those do normally when you use them is you put them on a template and you assign the title yourself. And it's often used for previewing. But in this case, the cover art browser just is assigning the title to them on the fly. And if you look at the settings, one of the options is the media text. And what that does is allow you to select which piece of metadata you want it to display. Obviously, some of these are only applicable to movies, some are only applicable to music generally. So that's one of the reasons why you would tend often to create separate ones for movies versus music. But you just select which one you want and it will display it. And for the cover art browser, use a media repo image, and it basically is also gets assigned to the media repository, and you can select which type of art you want to display. In most cases, it's just the small cover art for a browser like this, because you couldn't really afford to do the big art unless you only wanted to have maybe one entry per screen or something like that. Okay, so that's all you really need to do is just pick the repo text and repo image widgets that you want, place them on there in the arrangement that you want, and style them correctly. And once you do that, just assign that layout to the browser, which I've done down here. And in this case, I just replaced the default one with our own. And that's really it. Once you do that, the cover art browser will make use of that, and it will style the information as you indicate. So it's quite simple, but very powerful, and lets you really turn the cover art browser from something that would have been, utilitarian but nice, into something that you can really make look the way you want it. And another reason you might do this as well, of course, is that you might have perhaps an image behind here that you want these things to fit into slots in it or something of that nature. So it really gives you all the control that you need to lay things out. And for movies versus music, you can just create two separate screens and set up one for music and one for movies, or you can do all this dynamically. So if the user presses browse music versus browse movie, you just pass in something to the overlay that you are loading this into and tell it which one was selected, and it can assign the correct template to use to the cover art browser, and it can set the media type and all that kind of thing. So you can do it either way, either dynamically or just create two separate ones, whatever works best for you. So that's it. We'll see you in the next video.